Good evening, or good morning, as it were. And now for the obligatory sound check. I gotta refresh, gotta hit the button. And oh, yeah, there I am. I can hear myself. Isn't that great? God forbid I should not be able to hear myself. I mean, can you imagine? No sounds of me. Good Lord. Your super tips are greatly appreciated. There's PayPal. And if you're on Rumble, well, there's Rumble Rants. Oh, yeah. A. Thompson says, Earl's dog died. Well, that's really sad to hear. But Earl, you mean Earl Skakel? I guess. I don't know. Well, anyway, sorry to hear that. Sorry for the loss. And, condolences. So, yeah. All right, let me get to this. It's a long list of stuff. Because, for some dumb reason, I obsess over this, stuff. It does great, though. It does. Not that it does great, but it grates, on the nerves. But I managed to get a nap that went longer than I needed it to because now my sleep schedule's messed up. But look, these things happen. I had to, after the pop culture breakdown show with Doomcock and all that, I shuffled off, thought, maybe I could get 30 minutes in an hour again and then maybe pop on Pat's show. Oh, that didn't happen 3 hours later. Yeah. Anyway, in between, I've got these brand spanking new, well, one's really old, but there's a brand spanking new update. And the audio version will be featured in the Nailsin Show. So I'll do something of that nature. I'm guessing. I probably shouldn't even tease it. I might not even need it because I'll probably be dead tired by the end of this and not even want to bother. But it's a possibility there will be other segments beyond just Nailsin rating stuff. See? You never know what may or may not occur. Anyway, might as well get to it. DCU blues, because I think the DCU is done before it even got off the ground. Superman pooped the bed. The perhaps incoming CEO of Warner Brothers, Ted Sarandos at Netflix, during a testimony that he just let slip. Yeah, the Superman movie didn't perform. It underperformed. So there you go. And of course, hey, wait a minute. He's the Netflix guy. How could he know? Well, he's coming in to buy the property. So they had to show him the actual numbers and everything before he's like, hey, wait a minute. Hey, there's water in the trunk and there's rust under the belly and all this sort of thing. So that's the deal. He's not just pulling that out of his ass. He actually saw the numbers. Superman underperformed. And as I've always said, it couldn't just have to perform, it had to overperform. That's the position they were in. And James Gunn chose unwisely, I would think. He decided to do a cluttered shared universe movie. Not bothered by the shared universe aspect, but to just jump out of the gate with that to where Superman's a guest star in his own movie, a big mistake. And boy, does it show. And it's sad because, as much as I like Henry Cavill as Superman, would have liked to seen another Superman movie with him in it. David Gordon Sweat's not a bad Superman. I think he could do really good in it. But just like Cavill and Brandon Routh, Tyler Hoechlin got the better deal out of all of them. He got to stay being Superman for a long time. But those guys, they just never really, they didn't get the script that could do wonders for their abilities, I think. So anyway, there you go. That's that. Probably yet another fairly decent, pretty good actor to play Superman done wrong. So, but there's other stories before DCU is done for good. Most notably, hey, where's Wonder Woman? I know everyone's wondering, where's Batman? Well, it's complicated, their main star that they absolutely control. It's not like with Disney and Sony sharing Spider-Man and all that. No. They control this. Yeah. But anyway, let's take a look at this Wonder Woman story over at DCU. James Gunn's DCU Paradise Lost said to be dead. Now, in a lot of ways, I think this is probably for the best. I thought it was a dumb idea to begin with. Game of Thrones with Amazon's, a Wonder Woman show with no Wonder Woman. Yeah, that's wonderful. So anyway, in what should come as no surprise, James Gunn's DCU appears to have quietly, not quick enough, killed off another one of its earliest announced projects. According to John Roca, the planned Themyscira series Paradise Lost. No, not the Milton book. They tried to do a movie about that, and there's some concept art. You can look it up on YouTube. It looks really cool. It's too bad it didn't happen, I guess. But anyway, no, this is Wonder Woman's Island, but she wouldn't be in the show. Anyway, it's no longer happening. Matt McCloyne says, hey, recall how I recently said the same and even said that I doubt that Gunn will be doing a DCU Wonder Woman due to the impending sale of WB. Yeah, you see, they should have scrapped the Themyscira thing overall and jumped on a Wonder Woman movie. Yeah. Now, that first Wonder Woman movie is going to be a tough act to follow. The 84 one, not so much. So, maybe people would be more open to a new Wonder Woman than they would have before. Because then they saw 84 and like, ooh, yeah, it's too bad. Because that first Wonder Woman movie was really good. It's sad. Anyway, Roca said sources informed him the DC Studios has been meeting with writers and taking pictures, taking pitches for Paradise Lost. But those involved were later told the project was dead. Roca emphasized this was not a case of the show being paused or waiting on the right script. Writers and creatives who storylines were reportedly informed that Paradise Lost is no longer in active development and will not move forward as a TV series. Oh, so here's the whole quote that says exactly what I just said. So yeah, not waiting for a script, not like hang on a minute, we're restructuring things. Blah, blah, blah. Usually, even when they do say things like that, it means it's dead. Odds are, development hell, they call it. And hell's meant to last forever. So anyway, they're being told, never mind. It's not going to happen. So, and that is a massive bit of news because I think a lot of people felt that it was a little weird that you were going to do a Themyscira show, but not have Wonder Woman in it. Yeah, that's right. Because most of the Batman shows with no Batman failed too. I mean, every now and then you'd have one that kind of, I guess the Gotham show, it had its following, It quickly fizzled for me, but for other people, they kind of enjoyed the crazy characters and stuff. So, sometimes it kind of works. But most of the time, it doesn't. I mean, at least Smallville had a following. They had a good run for itself. I never really got into it, but a lot of people liked it. But Superman's in it. He's Clark Kent, Kal-El, whatever. He just hadn't put on the tights yet. And that was the premise of the show. But he's in it. So I guess Gotham was going to try to be that, but Bruce Wayne's a little boy, and I don't know. Anyway, the news is significant given that Paradise Lost was positioned as a cornerstone of DCU's television slate and one of the earliest projects announced by James Gunn. Now joining lots of other DCU projects, it's apparently not happening. What's happening is the Lanterns TV show. That's definite because they've shot it. It's all, done. When exactly it'll be released? Sometime this year, but they're positioning it to follow the Supergirl movie. Supergirl, of course, is coming. That's real. That'll happen. And then Clayface, this strange little horror movie off to the side. Yeah, it's a Batman movie with no Batman. and then Man of Tomorrow, and I think that's it. So the clock runs out after that. And then whoever the new bosses are, probably Netflix, but who knows? Paramount might sway the shareholders and then take over that way. You never know. But anyway, none of them are going to be interested in what James Gunn's done because he didn't make the numbers. That's it. Had he done it, had his vision of Superman and all that work, then there you go. Full steam ahead, you know. Anyway, the cancellation lines up with what McClone's insiders have been reporting for some time. Sources previously indicated that Gunn has pivoted his long-term focus away from the overall DC toward the Superman family saga, which Clayface has nothing to do with. So the trades back McClone up. Yeah. Because originally announced, this is DCU Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. So, and he announced a whole bunch of stuff. Swamp Thing, James Mangold was going to direct that. Then all of a sudden he jumped ship, to what's he doing? I think he took a Paramount deal. Yeah, he was supposed to do a Star Wars film, but, that ain't happening. That's, a waste of time to even look at. So I can't remember what, damn it. Why am I blanking on it? But anyway, he was going to do Swamp Thing, and yeah, that ain't happening. There was, Batman Brave and the Bold, but good Lord, they still haven't wrapped up the Batman thing. And then Penguin came along, and that blew out everything. That was the most successful DC project at all so far. Everything else poops the bed. So there you go. And I remember earlier on Zaslav saying, hey, look, if this doesn't work, we do have a plan B. I think plan B is just the Batman. That's it. And they're look, let's play it safe. We'll just do Batman movies. That actually has Batman in it. So that's what they're going to do. Now, I thought The Batman was a crappy movie. It looked cool, a lot of great atmospherics. And, despite any reservations, I think Robert Pattinson could do a good Batman. But the story, that was stupid. Penguin, on the other hand, was brilliant. Now, Batman #2 is like the Penguin show. Oh, man. Now you got something. So there's the thing. There's the conundrum they're in. If the DCU was let's say Superman, made well over $1 billion, then boy, they're really rolling now. And whoever buys WB still is going to want it. So you go forward and you got to get to your Batman movie because you're going to have a DC universe with no Batman. That's not going to work, because he's the big star of DC. So, we're going to have our own Batman and all that. And for whatever reason, they couldn't fold the Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman into it. Okay, whatever. So, Penguin comes along and, wins big. So now you've got the Batman 2, which I don't know, was probably delayed for a variety of reasons. Some said Matt Reeves had some personal problems going on, maybe so. Others was just, hey, let's see how this pans out. Let's see how Superman. So they delayed it. Plus, you got to think the Penguin series, how did that perform? Do we really need to address it or follow it? So you don't really know what your script can or cannot have. And I think they should have scrapped whatever they were doing and go with a Batman versus Penguin script and leave it at that. But, that's me. But anyway, so now you got Batman 2, and let's say Batman is a massive mega hit. It blows everything out. It's over $1 billion. That means you've got to do another Batman, and that's down the road. Hopefully not as long as the time between Batman 1 and Batman 2, but I don't know. Then there's going to be the urge to exploit it further with yet another spinoff TV series, maybe Penguin 2, something like that. And that's plan B. After that, it's like, why are we wasting time on this DCU thing that doesn't perform? But Batman did. So that's what happens. And so Brave of the Bold Batman and all that, just odds are never happens. Anyway, this shift makes a Wonder Woman centric future in the DCU increasingly unlikely. Same with Batman, at least under Gunn's leadership. Yeah, it probably means DCU's future is unlikely. A DC thing may still happen, but odds are we're going into some lean, mean years. I'm thinking they're just going to do Batman. You know, more than likely. It's unfortunate. I wished DC could have at least gotten something on par with what Marvel did have, a good 10-year run of a shared universe, because that's how those stories are told in the comic books, and it would have been cool to get, a fairly decent amount of movies in a big, bookend of a Justice League movie that kind of wraps it all up. And that would have been nice. And then, of course, they probably pooped the bed after that. It's amazing Marvel was able to achieve what it did. It's since been pooping the bed year after year since, But at least you can't take that 10-year run from them. They got that. Poor DC got a couple of movies here and there. The Snyder films had some cool scenes in it. His Justice League is really good. That's the best of the three that he did. But and then the rest, Suicide Squad, stupid Flash movie. I don't know. I guess it was more okay than bad. I mean, Birds of Prey was really god awful. The Suicide Squad, I don't know. We never got to see Ayer's cut. If we get to see that, maybe that is much better. I mean, Snyder's cut was better than the theatrical, so maybe that's better. And we'll have to see if we can ever actually get to see the damn thing. But yeah, Suicide Squad wasn't that great. And then Blue Beetle was fun. But by then, that was in the post era, really, because James Gunn came out and said, none of these movies are going anywhere. Oh, Shazam was fun, but, it didn't hit big. And then you got, Aquaman, and those are okay. So all in all, but nothing on par with what Marvel was able to achieve. So what are you going to do? Well, start over, I guess. So anyway, insiders also recently informed Cosmic Book News that WBD is now sending the message to Gunn to keep quiet to avoid major announcements that later turn into quiet walkbacks. We've also been told Gunn is out as head of the DCU once WBD is sold. Well, yeah. Now, there are things I've always said James Gunn's capable of. He's not the guy for Superman. I don't think he's the guy for Batman either. And not Wonder Woman. So, gee, what does that leave? Well, Supergirl's going to have Lobo in it. And I think James Gunn's the guy who could do a pretty damn good Lobo movie. So they might want to keep that in mind. But his handling of all this has been pretty bad. And he's been caught in quite a few lies here and there. And so it's just not that great. And you don't want to go full Kennedy and announce that stuff that's never going to happen. Because this also does damage to the overall brand. So I forget who this woman is. I think that she's in something. But she's one of these actors who said, hey, she could make a good Wonder Woman. So, somebody photoshopped her into the, yeah. But anyway, that's it for the island of Wonder Women, which sounds kind of cool, but it wasn't going to have, Wonder Woman. So, that's a shame. And it's always, that approach, a Wonder Woman project, show, film with no Wonder Woman. Yeah. All right. There we go. Yes, that's nice. All right, we can drop that. Thank you for your services. You were greatly appreciated. And good luck on your future endeavors. It's tea. All right, what else is going on to give DCU the blues? Well, there's Clayface. I did mention that. Yeah. So, what the hell? I'll take a look at that. Uh-oh. Looks like we caught him while he's sitting on the toilet. How would he know if he's even finished? I don't know. DC Studios delays Clayface release date amid Warner Brothers slate shakeup. Why is it shaking up? Well, there's a sale going along, Warner Brothers Pictures has made some changes to its fall 2026 release schedule, and that means DC Studios Clayface is now coming a little later than expected. The movie is shifting from September 11th to October 23rd, a delay of 6 weeks. Now, look, they're selling it as a horror movie, so when do you want your horror movies to come out? You want to get it out in October. That's Halloween month, so it might work for the better. I don't know. But, of course, it's Clayface. You're not thinking of it as a Halloween movie. You're thinking of it as a Batman movie. But there's no Batman. It's unclear what the reason for the move is. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Someone suddenly noticed, hey, wait a minute. Oh, yeah. But this will give DC Studios a little more post-production time for a project that's likely to utilize many special effects for the title character's grotesque transformation. Yeah, but the whole point of it is they wanted to do it on the cheap. So I don't know. But, yeah, maybe. Hey, we need a little more time to make this stuff look real. Clayface has been slated to go head to head with the latest adaptation of Sense and Sensibility. Now it's being slotted into the vacant slot left by Remain, which has been moved to 2027. This brings filmmaker James Watkins' R-rated DC Comics adaptation closer to Halloween, potentially allowing DC Studios to market it as a full-blown horror. Yeah, it kind of works out for it. This isn't necessarily bad news for the film unto itself. It's just bad because, again, it's a Batman movie with no Batman. However, that's a busy time of year, and it'll be facing off with Jordan Peele's next movie, currently untitled. Jeez Louise. You've got serious competition from an untitled movie. So, yeah. And the Rosamund Pike-led Wife and Dog. It's a tough choice, but the Practical Magic sequel starring Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock is taking Clayface's place on September 11th. Interestingly, this change moves Clayface away from Avengers Endgame. Well, yeah. That's also, I forgot that's coming out on that. Yeah, it's a September 23rd movie. I thought it was going to be in December. Really? September? Jeez. Oh, all right, then. Yeah, this is even smarter. You don't want even though, again, there's no superheroes in it unless there's some surprise cameo, but I doubt it because I think DCU is over. But nevertheless, there's no Batman in the Batman movie. So there's no way this competes with Avengers Endgame, which, again, Marvel's in bad position. It's even worse than that. It's underneath the bad position. So they got this Hail Mary pass of Avengers Endgame and all that. But still, you got all the excitement for the returning stars and stuff. So, yeah, you got nothing to compete with that as far as superheroes go. Clayface was an unexpected addition to DC Studios' Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters slate. However, the Swamp Thing going nowhere fast, it's dead. It certainly manages to make good with the monsters part of the DCU's opening salvo. Yeah, this is comic book movie. You still hoping this works out, huh? I don't think so. They're not even calling it Gods and Monsters anymore. Despite rumblings that Clayface was originally meant to be set in Matt Reeves' Batverse. Yeah, I think it was. It will be a DCU studio, and the first time we get to explore this version of Gotham City in live action. Well, not really. I think it's a bit of it is in Gotham, but then it moves to Los Angeles because the character wants to be an actor. So, Anyway, I'm really enjoying working on the movie. It's a tremendous collection of people making it. Max Minghella said last year. James Watkins is directing it. I've been a fan of his forever. He did a film called Eden Lake, and that was a movie that really affected me for quite a while when I first saw it. Hussein Amini is doing a pass on the script, who I actually produced a movie with and directed many years ago. We have a very personal connection. The actor continued. Rob Hardy is shooting it, and he's an extraordinary cinematographer who I've long admired. To get to play with these amazing people in the world of Gotham is very fun. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope people will like it when it comes out. Well, yeah, that's the main thing. We also spoke with Eddie Marsan, who said, James is a wonderful director, and I think Tom is an incredible actor. You're going to see an amazing performance. Well, all right then. Midnight Mass, The Life of Chuck and Carrie filmmaker Mike Flanagan wrote a first pass of Clayface for DC Studios before unexpectedly handing over his passion project to writer Hussein Amini and director James Watkins. The cast of Clayface will be led by newcomer Tom Rice Harries, with Eddie Marsan, Max Minghella, and Naomi Aki set to join him in undisclosed roles. Well, one of these guys will probably be the criminal that causes Clayface's problems, makes him Clayface, and then he takes revenge on them. And then the girl, she's the girlfriend. There you go. So there you go. The movie is set to arrive in theaters in Your own article says it's not coming in September anymore. Jeez. Josh Wilding. I mean, it's one sentence. You couldn't catch that and take it out? No. It's actually going to arrive October 23rd. It's the whole point of the article. My God. Well, anyway, there you go. Clayface looks concerned. Should he be? Well, regardless of the release date, he should have been concerned all along. Yeah. But, well, good luck. You never know. Maybe it's one of those things that somehow catches on. You know, like Joker did. Remember that? That was all the rage and talk. And then someone got the bright idea to do a sequel to it. Yeah. Well, there is the Penguin Show. That was pretty cool. Anyway, good luck, Clayface. Susan Dolan says hi. Hi, Susan. All right, that's it for Clayface. Will it work? Will it be wonderful? Will it really fit in with the Halloween-style movies and stuff? Well, I mean, he's going to look creepy and all that, you know, and he looks like a walking turd that turns into other people. You know, what it is, he's going to want to get revenge on the people who've screwed with him, and so he's going to use his shape-shifting abilities to do that. Then after all that's over and done with, they'll think he's dead, but he's not. He's in disguise, and he hops a bus back to Gotham from Los Angeles. And then, like maybe he'll show up in a future Batman movie. He won't, because there isn't going to be a Batman from the DCU. Hey, look, maybe Supergirl just shows up and blows everything away. And then now we're back in business. It's highly unlikely, but, you know, hope springs eternal and all that good stuff. You got to have hope. If you don't have hope, all you have left is despair. Something like that. Yep. Speaking of Supergirl, how's that going? Well, let me take a look. And then while I'm taking a look, you can take a look too. Oh, boy. James Gunn's Supergirl drops puppy bowl spot titled Home. because Puppy Bowl, is cheaper than Super Bowl. Anyway, a new Supergirl spot titled Home. Okay. Debuted during the Puppy Bowl, giving fans fresh footage from Supergirl. Not a lot, but somewhat. And leading hard into a familiar James Gunn theme. Puppies, cute animals, stuff like that. The spot opens on Krypton, showing Kara Zor-El with her parents before the planet's destruction. The biggest reveal comes when Kara first meets Krypto. Not as the superpowered dog fans know, but as a puppy. From there, the footage shifts into shots pulled from the recent trailer. That's what it does. I don't even know if the destruction is already happening or what. Maybe. I don't know. But it's almost like a religious procession or something, and she's walking with her family and a bunch of other Kryptonians. And then off to the side, you see this little puppy digging in trash or something. And then Kara picks him up. Well, who are you? And that's how they meet. Isn't that special? Then you get a couple of scenes. There was a scene of a spaceship crashing and stuff like that. I don't know if that was in the original teaser, but it looked cool. And then there's more scenes of Krypton and what I suspect is Brainiac stealing the city of Kandor. So there's interesting and cool things to it. It's probably few and far between within the movie, but you get that. And I think it sets it up for Man of Tomorrow when Brainiac finally shows up in a Superman movie. And once again, yes, you can utilize Supergirl in that she knows who Brainiac is and what he's about, whereas Superman wouldn't. And then probably comes in, steals Metropolis, and then Superman and Supergirl got to take it back, and save Lois and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So the problem is he's already cluttered it. So then you got your stupid Justice Gang guys and all that. I don't know. What a mess. So anyway, the Puppy Bowl spot highlights a creative pattern that's become hard to miss in projects overseen by James Gunn. Yeah, he's not directing it, but come on. What does that Supergirl trailer remind you of? Oh, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. Gunn has consistently leaned into baby or juvenile characters as emotional anchors. Superman featured Baby Joey. Baby Joey. Oh, yeah, the little green guy. The Guardians of the Galaxy films made Baby Groot a central hub. Now, Supergirl introduces Krypto as a puppy during Kara's earliest moment. Well, yeah, but it's just a brief flashback. But the rest of it is, he's the cute dog who pees on the Daily Planet and all that. The formula is familiar. Soften the audience early. Establish innocence. Then contrast it with loss and violence. The home spot follows that exact playbook. Yeah, there's all kinds of silliness, and Supergirl's drunk, but then you find out she's depressed because, she had to witness her entire race and family get wiped out. And so, not a happy camper, but at least she has a cute puppy, and he's just a dog. His whole world got destroyed too, but he's like, whatever. According to DC Studios, Supergirl follows Kara Zor-El as she's forced into an interstellar journey. Well, in the original story, she willingly takes it on, so I don't know. Anyway, after a ruthless adversary strikes close to home, reluctant and hardened by loss, Kara teams up with an unlikely companion on a mission driven by vengeance and justice. Well, if it ends the way the comic book is, it's vengeance. Anyway, the Puppy Bowl spot clearly positions Kara's Krypton origin and Krypto as the emotional foundation for the art. So, the creative team, Millie Alcock and all that. And Jason Momoa, they want to hype that up. Hey, you don't miss it. He's like Lobo in it. So, So, yeah, Craig Gillespie's directing it, but, James Gunn's hovering behind him the whole time. So, Is he really? Behind the camera, the creative team includes, all these people. Supergirl opens in theaters and IMAX across North America on June 26, 2026, with international releases beginning June 24th. Wait a minute, they get it first. God, what is that? Puppy Bowl, maybe about cute dogs, but the message is clear. Gunn is once again betting that a baby moment will hook audiences before the universe comes crashing down. Yeah, it's an emotional tease type thing. It's true, but he says, hey, look, we got to win over the overall movie-going audience, not just, Supergirl fans. So you understand the thinking, but it's become a rinse, lather, repeat formula. Yeah. Well, whatever. Maybe it'll be all right. I don't know. Of the Tom King comic books, the Supergirl one he did was the least worst one. It's kind of okay. I mean, it's True Grit. He just stole True Grit and put it in outer space. Instead of John Wayne, it's Supergirl. That's about it. So, yeah. Remember they used to do the lingerie bowl? Maybe they should have done that with, Supergirl. Maybe that would have, Okay, maybe not. Anyway, best of luck for Supergirl. A. Thompson says, looks just like Lois. Irk Ska. Well, I don't speak that language, so I don't know. All right. Well, there's still some other Supergirl stuff to do. I guess I could have done it all in one thing, but I didn't. Oh, Earl Skakel's dog was Lois? So Crypto looks like Lois? Wow, weird. That's man, what are the odds? Oh well. Rest in peace, Lois. So you want to get some details on the Supergirl movie? Besides, there's going to be a dog in it. Yeah. New details about Supergirl surface following alleged test screening. Allegedly. So this might all just be a bunch of bull. But maybe not. Anyway, she's waiting on her bus. More information is being shared about the upcoming Supergirl film following an alleged test screening of the film that took place earlier this month. According to ex-user Axel Talks Film, the test screening took place sometime last week, and he spoke with an individual who attended it. That individual informed him that Lobo has a substantial role in the film and is crucial to the ending. Well, see, it's probably going to be touted more as a Lobo movie. Additionally, he claimed that the film's villain, Krim, is extremely menacing and a tremendous villain. Well, let's hope for. I saw what he looks like. He looks like crap with the makeup. I mean, completely different from what he did in the comic. But I don't know if the actor carries it off personality-wise, then I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, his source also informed him that the cinematography is an upgrade compared to Superman's, with a specific hallway scene compared to the action sequences of those in Daredevil and Guardians 3. Oh, okay. He also shared that the movie is much darker and serious in tone than Superman, with the human trafficking and violence being prominent. Human? You mean alien trafficking, don't you? Because they're in outer space. But yeah, it's all people in makeup and stuff. Finally, he added that the movie was described as a perfect balance of humor, darkness, and lightness. Well, all right. So there's Supergirl on the bus. Say, hey, you're in my seat. Anyway, Axel Talks Film was not the only one to share information from the screening. While his source informed him the villain was tremendous, cryptic 4K cool, shared that his own sources had the opposite reaction. Uh-oh. He wrote, all this lines up, though. Only difference is both my sources didn't like Krim and thought he was lame and underwhelming. Yeah, well, just looking at the imagery of him, I don't know. Following this, Axel Talks Films then hedged, saying, I'd heard some liked it, but some didn't. But I trust the opinion very much of who I spoke to in particular. When James Gunn first announced the film, he revealed it would be an adaptation of Tom King's disastrous Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic, depicts Supergirl as a depressed drunk who is haunted by trauma. By the end of the story, she also abandons her moral compass by allowing the murder of a man who had already faced justice and spent years in the Phantom Zone. Well, you kind of spoiled the ending there, but yes, that is the darkest moment of it. She is only drunk very briefly at the beginning, due to her depression over her birthday and the loss of Krypton and all that. It's really not that big of a deal. And I don't really agree. I don't like Tom King. He's just absolute cancer to comic book stories and probably any stories overall. He's done terrible, terrible work. But Woman of Tomorrow is probably his best work. Again, stolen from True Grit. But yeah, the ending and what happens, I mean, it's, and the idea, well, Supergirl is darker than Superman and all. And the thing is, it's years, they jump years into the future after he's been stuck in the Phantom Zone. And after he comes out, he's a broken man and he's really, really sorry for what he did. And he's begging for forgiveness. And then the girl, now an old woman, who hired Supergirl to get him, murders him. And, Supergirl's fine with it and they leave. So now, I mean, they're going to depict him. I mean, he did kill the girl's father. So, but Supergirl, what? She's like, well, is she now going to put the old lady in the Phantom Zone? Well, you're a murderer now. No. But, okay. And depending on how evil he is depicted, I mean, he's a piece of crap in the comic book, but he might be even worse in the movie. So I guess maybe that where, the audience is like, good, he deserved it. I don't know. But there is this thing. And I mean, Superman would be very, very disappointed in Supergirl for doing something like that. I mean, even if she's just standing there and didn't do anything to stop it, Anyway, Gunn said, one of my favorite comic book series from last year with Tom King's run on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I doubt it, but, that's what he says. So we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. He added, now Superman, who was a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. Yes, and even before this Tom King story, there was an approach to this when the New 52 came along. They introduced Supergirl very differently, and it was, because a lot of ways, the approach to Supergirl, they kept trying different things because she's a derivative character of Superman. So you try to make her own character. And they say, hey, you know what? That stuff she went through that's going to do a number on her, wouldn't it? So it stands to reason there's a logic to it that her attitude is not going to be so Pollyannish as like Smallville Superman is. So, and they did that. She was very distant and it was a darkened story. But over time, she grows to accept her new home and sees Superman's ways and all that. So, would say, no, we're just going to keep it that way. And I guess so, because I think this is one and done, because I think, sadly, more or less, DCU is over. Anyway, since then, Gunn has noted the film does not follow the comic to a T, which was obvious given the film includes Lobo. Well, yes, but Lobo was originally going to be in the story, but editorial said, no, you can't use him. So they didn't. It's in outer space, makes sense he'd be around and stuff like that. But I don't know if he was supposed to be the villain. Maybe so. But you can't kill Lobo. In fact, you literally can't. So maybe that was the thing. And they said, no, Tom. So he made up his own villain. I don't know. Nevertheless, he told woke activist Clayton Davis, it's based on the Tom King book. It doesn't follow it religiously, but it has a lot of the core of that there. And I'm just really excited to see it and to see Millie. As Gunn noted, it does appear to be keeping King's abhorrent characterization of the character. Time will tell if it also ruins her morality like King did. Fortunately, it appears that audiences are not interested in the film. Google Trends indicate that it is performing worse than the Marvels. In fact, it shows that pre-release interest is effectively half of that of the Marvels at an equivalent stage in the film's marketing. Gee, that's really bad. Which again is sad. Odds are the Supergirl movie is much better than the Marvels. The poor Marvels never had a chance. But geez. Ooh. So, there you go. Your best bet is word of mouth. I saw it. It's pretty good. Yeah. But now, upon the shoulders of Supergirl is the entirety of the DCU. Because Superman couldn't seal the deal. If Superman couldn't seal the deal, Supergirl Lost in Space is going to seal the deal. I don't think so. And it's not supposed to be in that position, but that's where it is. So I don't know. I guess they're really going to hype Lobo and hope the ladies show up because they want to see Jason Momoa. He's all going to be painted white and stuff like he's a member of Kiss. But, they might be into that and walking around with his shirt off. So the ladies might come out for that. They sure showed up for Aquaman and stuff. So maybe there's that. You see a lot of Lobo promos, but they really couldn't afford to spend the money on a Super Bowl ad. They went with Puppy Bowl instead and said, look, cute puppy. So I don't know. I do know it's not going to work. Can it make its money back? But as far as saving the DCU and all that, nah, I'm sorry. But that doesn't look to be in the cards. So, and to a certain extent, it's unfair. It's not what it was supposed to be, but it is because Superman pooped the bed. It's just too bad. Lois girl. Yeah. There. I don't know why they would give Crypto to Supergirl. Her pet was Streaky, an orange cat with green lightning bolts running down. I thought they were white. That's what it was always when I saw him. Crypto was Superman's, but yeah, Crypto was always Superman's dog, but you know how they do. And Streaky was a cat because they had some weird thing that transferred superpowers to other people and it got into the cat, something like that. But yeah, she had the cat. She had Super Horse. Stuff like that. Anyway, according to a Supergirl comic from the late 60s or early 70s, Kara L's father invented the survival zone to try and save as many Kryptonians as he could. But he and his wife are the only ones in it. Yeah, they probably won't deal with that. There's all kinds of stuff they tried here and there. and they just quietly forget about it. The other thing, gee, I forgot to mention that. Stupid James Gunn put it in there that, Jor-El is basically a racist, supremacist guy. And it's like, is that what Krypton's about? And you're going to, now that's stuck on Supergirl to figure out. That's, there's dumb things about the Superman film he did, and right off the bat cluttered it with all these other characters and stuff. But that thing, holy crap. What were you thinking? I guess he wasn't. Yeah. So that's just stupid. Yeah, that's right, James Gunn. You're stupid. You didn't have to be. You really didn't. So anyway, I think, that's it for the DCU. And good luck and all that. Hey, but what about Marvel? Well, there's Marvel, and then there's Sony's Marvel, which is, Spider-Man characters. And other than the Spider-Verse cartoons, which I never saw, but they did well. So you got something there. Their Spider villain movies all stunk. Venom was just an accident, and so all that's done with. But now they got this new project that might actually be something. It's Spider-Man Noir. I don't have it ready to go. Good Lord, what am I thinking? So I don't know. This might work. At least it is a Spider-Man movie with Spider-Man in it. Not the Spider-Man we all know and love, but still. Nicolas Cage goes full film noir in new Spider Noir. Images and details. So there he is in his suit. It's very basic and stuff. Spider Noir has dropped new details and images, offering a new look at Sony's pulpy, hard-boiled take on Spider-Man lore. And it's leaning hard into classic noir vibes. Update. 2 new posters have been released, as Sony has announced the trailer drops Thursday. Well, all right, get used to it. Oh, look, there he is. There he is, this noir character walking through the street. And then, but he's really Spider Noir. Yeah. All right, there you go. And then you can watch it in glorious color or authentic black and white. Not just, you turn the color off. No. They did both versions. So it'll look like an old-timey movie like it's supposed to. Oh, look, they flipped it to where Spider Noir in his reflection is. So don't look at his reflection. You'll see his secret identity, There he is squatting, because that's what spider people do. The series stars Nicolas Cage as a wary private investigator in a Depression-era New York. This version isn't the familiar Peter Parker. Instead, Cage plays Ben Reilly, an older, jaded hero known simply as the Spider. Yeah, not the pulp spider. That was kind of a knockoff of the Shadow. But kind of the same idea, except he's got, I assume, spider powers and all that. Anyway, trading wisecracks for cynicism and a fedora. All right. The newly released images via Esquire highlight the show's smoky offices, rain-slicked streets, and Cage fully embracing the gumshoe persona. The character is very different from the Peter Parker from the movies. It's not even Peter Parker, so it's pretty different. He's older and jaded and not afraid to punch a guy in the face drunkenly, producer Phil Miller said, while Chris Lord added, he already had his Chinatown disillusionment moment that happened years and years ago. Oh, my God. She's your sister. She's your daughter. She's your sister. She's your daughter. She's your sister and your... Oh, my God. So one of the big hooks, Spider Noir, will be available in 2 formats. Hey, look at that. He's doing the Batman thing, huh? See, this would be a cool approach to Batman. It's just a thought. Just go back to the original glory days of your superheroes. Superman as well. You know, make it look like Max Fleischer cartoon. I'm telling you, whatever. Viewers can watch it in stark black and white, evoking classic film noir, or in a stylized color version that resembles colorized vintage films. Both versions were shot simultaneously, not added later. Weird. So it's anyway, there's his, private investigator thing. And so he's Bill Riley, private investigator. Never mind how he conducts his investigations. He dresses up as the Spider and crawls around the walls, and peeks through the window and all that. The truth is, they both work, and they're beautiful for different reasons, Cage tells Esquire. The color is super saturated and gorgeous. I think teenage viewers will appreciate the color, but I also want them to have the option if they want to experience the concept in black and white. Maybe they would instill some interest in them to look at earlier movies and enjoy that as an art form as well. Well, one could hope. Yeah. I mean, when I was a youngin', I looked at old movies because it was new to me. Could that happen? I don't know. Oren Uziel, a co-showrunner of Spider Noir, added, "It looks like a black and white film that's been kind of colorized. That was one of the inspirations for how to do it." Well, I don't know. From these images, it just looks like color pictures. So I don't know if these are just stills or what it'll look like on screen. The images also spotlight Lee Jun Lee as Cat Hardy. So I guess a take on Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat, a nightclub singer with clear femme fatale energy. Plus noir style reimaginings of Marvel characters like Robbie Robertson. Well, he just looks really young, but other than that, that's Robbie Robertson. I don't know. Unless he's a writer. So he's still working for the new. I don't know. Anyway, they're both investigators, Uziel says, of Robbie and Ben. They both go back a long way. Their relationship has really deep ties. Uh-oh. The biggest and most obvious difference is that Robbie is a guy who almost carries around a rabbit's foot. He thinks he's lucky, and it's all going to work out. Ben is a character who thinks it's never going to work out. It's all going to go to shit. Life's a big disaster. So Ben's cynicism is kind of an opposing force to Robbie's optimism. Well, all right, then. I guess that's his secretary. I don't know. The cast leans into classic detective archetypes while still pulling from Spider-Man history. Karen Rodriguez plays Janet, a newly created character for the series, described as always helpful as compared to Effie from the Maltese Falcon. Right. All right. Lee Jun Lee plays Cat Hardy, a nightclub chanteuse who lures Riley into the underworld conspiracy at the center of the series. The story centers on a powerful gangland boss, Silvermane, who is a villain in the Spider-Man comics, who gets his body completely broken by the Green Goblin, and so he ends up in a cyborg body. Yeah, but at least it looks silver. See? He's called Silvermane because that's his name, but it's also because his hair turned white. Anyway, he was a mob boss who survived multiple assassination attempts, so maybe he still has a mechanical body of some sort. I don't know. What starts as a routine investigation spirals into something much bigger when Riley uncovers signs that forces beyond ordinary crime are involved, including an arsonist with the ability to create fire from his hands and violent run-ins with hired muscle like Flint Marko, played by Jack Huston or Houston. I don't know. Anyway, Spider Noir is set to premiere this spring on MGM Plus in the U.S. with global streaming on Prime Video. All right. I'm more than willing to give this a chance. It looks cool. The pulp noir stuff, love that. And if they capture that, do well with it, even with crazy Nicolas Cage, it might actually work. I don't know why they're not, I guess just to call it Spider Noir instead of Spider-Man Noir, which was the original title. But, you know, it's an alternate universe thing, all that stuff. All fine, well, good, and dandy. Doesn't really mess with the typical Spider-Man stuff. But at least, this is a means by which Sony is able to produce their own Spider-Man, in this case, Spider-Man show, with an actual Spider-Man in it, you know, instead of trying to make something out of his villains and stuff like that. I think they were even going to do like a romantic story of young May and Ben Parker, you know, just trying to pick whatever they could out of Spider-Man. Yeah. But, you know, for the most part, other than the cartoons, it didn't work. So this one might work if they did it well and all that. All right, then. All right. So there you go. Spider Noir. Is Cage bringing on the full Cage in this movie like he did Into the Spider-Verse? I don't know. Again, I didn't watch Spider-Verse, so I don't know. But I assume, yeah, it'll probably be the same. I don't know. Was he Ben Reilly in that version too? Then it's the same character, you know? Otherwise, I don't know. Superman, what? Kal-El was put in a rocket center like Kal-El, or Kal-El. Yeah. She came in a rocket. Superman had hidden her in the orphanage. Right. Yes. And then later, yeah, that was a thing they did for a while where he kept her secret and stuff like that. And then eventually, hey, look, I have a cousin. Huh? Now that means there's two of them. Yep. Two super duper pooper scooper people. Isn't that something? Hey, remember Predator Badlands? Well, it didn't work out as well as they had hoped. But what are you going to do? Predator director bails on Disney. Signs with Paramount after Badlands flop. So Predator's like, huh? Well, just as Matt McClellan's been telling you all along, the future of the Predator franchise at Disney is in serious question due to the theatrical failure of Badlands. Now it's learned that director Dan Trachtenberg has moved on from Disney and has signed with Paramount. Yeah, it's a pretty big sign for that. The details include that despite directing one of the biggest sci-fi flops of the year, Predator Badlands director Dan Trachtenberg has landed a 3-year first-look deal with Paramount Pictures. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Trachtenberg and his producing partner Ben Rosenblatt will develop, direct, and produce new feature films for the studio. The deal marks a return to Paramount for Trachtenberg, who debuted in 10 Cloverfield Lane in 2016. So there you go. Worth pointing out is that contrary to the Hollywood Reporter's BS, okay, Predator Badlands was not a success and definitely not the highest grossing entry in the 38-year-old franchise. They said that? Yeah, it didn't do well. Now, I was fine with the film for the most part. It's got its stupid in it, but I expected far worse. And I was like, well, look, I'll give them props for trying to do something, a little different instead of the same thing over and over again to increasingly, depleting results. They've tried a couple of things. And the first thing they did was put them in LA, and then, what was the next thing they did? I don't know. Oh, I guess they did the Alien versus Predator movies. The first one, they were terrible. The first one's better than the second one. The second one, you can't even see it because they turned the lights off. Then there was the one with the people were abducted and brought to an alien world to be hunted by the predator. And that was interesting, you know. And then the big twist ending and all that. Uh, then after that, I didn't even watch the one that was all about climate change or some crap. And then this one. And of course, they wanted to tease an eventual crossover with Alien. But Alien is hanging by a thread. You know, Romulus did well enough, so they greenlit a sequel out of that. So you're going to get a sequel to Alien Romulus, whether it'll be the same characters and everything, I don't know. But then they had Alien Earth, and which had a lot of potential in it. But man, did it poop the bed. So it's going to get a second season. But so the big plans for that's dead. Certainly for now. So the film ended its theatrical run with 91 million, domestic, international 93, worldwide one. Yeah, that's yeah, the movie likely lost close to $80 million theatrically, and accounting for its production budget, marketing, and distribution cuts, that's not a hit. That's a franchise killing disaster. Otherwise, why would Trachtenberg leap to Paramount? You know? He already knows, yeah, we're not moving forward. We don't know what we're going to do. We'll have to think of something else. So there you go. Hollywood Reporter many outlets tried spinning Badlands as a franchise high point. The numbers say otherwise. Yeah, again, I thought it was an all right film. It's got its problems. I thought it was all right. But, it didn't do what it needed to do. So, adjusted for inflation, several prior Predator and Alien versus Predator entries outperformed it by a wide margin. Good Lord. So there you go. You see? Really, the only good Predator film is the original. It just is. Anyway, Badlands sits outside the top 5 in adjusted franchise earnings. His performance was underwhelming both in raw and adjusted numbers. Not even the cute toy from the cute Alien. No, it was not a James Gunn directed film, but it almost was. Could have saved him in merchandise, but it didn't. It didn't. There's currently no Badlands sequel or new Predator movie in the works at Disney. And with Badlands failing to generate audience interest domestically or internationally, Disney is likely moving the IP back to streaming. That's possible. They could just have a streaming show or just put a movie on there and do it on the cheap, which you can do a fairly good Predator movie, which they already did with Prey. That's another one I haven't watched, Prey. So probably something more akin to that. Yeah. They previously teased Alien versus Predator crossover now appears dead in the water, which now makes sense due to Trachtenberg bailing on Disney. Trachtenberg also directed Predator, Prey, and the Predator Killer of Killers anime. So there you go. He was in charge of Predator stuff. Now he's not, because the big theatrical didn't perform. So, yeah. I'm telling you, the look of the Predator, it's bad. That alone might have turned people off to it. Yeah. And that's a tough thing to overcome, the first impressions, all that type of stuff. And what are you going to do, Well, scrap that and start over. I don't know. But they can't afford to waste money on something that's not going to deliver. So looks like it's back to streaming or nothing. Them's the breaks. This next one is one I don't give a crap about, but I guess I'll talk about it. Just for poops and giggles. I don't give a crap about Pirates of the Caribbean, but I mean, I've only seen, I saw the first two. That was it. And I was like, all right. But, well, there's some scuttlebutt about it now. Anyway, producer debunks Jack Sparrow's son in Pirates of the Caribbean 6, seemingly confirms Margot Robbie. So they're still chasing this idea. Anyway, longtime Pirates of the Caribbean producer Jerry Bruckheimer is now casting doubt on the rumor the next film will focus on Jack Sparrow's son. The rumor said the new flick would focus on his son as the lead character and feature Margot Robbie. Speaking with ET Online, Bruckheimer was asked directly about the report, claiming Pirates of the Caribbean 6 would center on Sparrow's son and introduce a new character played by Margot Robbie. They're close on part of it. That's all I'll tell you. Bruckheimer. Why am I saying Bruckheimer? I was wondering, when pressed specifically about Robbie's involvement and whether discussions had taken place, Bruckheimer confirmed, "We have talked to her. Okay, she's in the movie." It's previously been reported that Robbie was attached to an earlier version of the script that was said to focus on female pirates. That version was believed to have either been scrapped or merged into the current draft, now in development. E.T. then suggested that perhaps the Margot Robbie portion of the rumor is accurate, but not the Jack Sparrow's son angle. "I think you're going up the right road," Bruckheimer replied. Notably, when E.T. mentioned that it would be exciting to see Robbie appear alongside Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, Bruckheimer did not directly respond. Based on Bruckheimer's comments that the Jack Sparrow son storyline may not be part of the current plan. Instead, the stronger possibility appears that Margot Robbie is indeed involved in the new film, potentially alongside Johnny Depp, should he return as Captain Jack. If he doesn't, it's dead in the water. It's also dead in the water if it gets out that she replaces him, kicks him in the balls, and makes him, be the butt of the joke and takes over the movie and that kind of thing. Then this will also kill the franchise permanently. Bruckheimer previously said Depp would return if he likes the script. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the latest update suggests Disney's pirate revival may be leaning more toward a blend of legacy characters and Robbie's role rather than a generational handoff centered on Sparrow's son. Yeah. Now, look, there were female pirates in history and stuff like that. So maybe they're going to try to do something of that nature. But the all-female thing, that crap. Yeah, it works out great for everything else. Ghostbusters, Atoll. No, it doesn't. So if you just think of the Pirates franchise and what it is and how it works and whatnot, and you can weave in a decent story for Margot to play, then you got something. Otherwise... Now, of course, oh boy, the relationship between Johnny Depp and Disney. Oh, it's because somebody pooped the bed, and oh no, they took the side of the pooper, and oh boy, the relationship is not good. So what do you got to pay him to come back? And of course, without Johnny Depp, there is no Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Now, 6 movies, good Lord. So if you could get him back to do one more and have a good send-off, but as far as setting it up for Margot to do at least 2 more after that, I seriously doubt that. But I don't know. No, I do know. It most likely won't work. But could you have a fairly good adventure film with those 2 in it? Sure. But you got to be respectful to the Jack Sparrow character, because that's fans of Pirates of the Caribbean want. How many times does this have to happen with a beloved franchise? How many? Don't poop the bed. Don't poop the bed. That's all you got to do. Just don't do that. Can you stop pooping the bed? Well, maybe we'll find out. I don't know. We still don't know if Johnny likes the script, that being the reason whether he'll show up or not. Yeah, well, we'll see. Anyway, good luck with that. No, not that. What are you doing? There we go. Well, there's another beloved franchise that's looking to make a return. And back when they were doing that Dark Universe thing, I thought, why not just tie it into this one instead of what the Kurtzman the Kurtzman movie tried to do? Yeah. The Mummy 4 sets May 2028 release date with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz returning. Yeah. So there you go. It's set for May 19th, 2028 with Oscar winners Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz returning to Universal's adventure franchise. And yeah, it's an adventure movie. They added monster in it and stuff like that and some horror elements, but it's full on adventure. It's more akin to Indiana Jones than, horror movie. But whatevs. Universal confirmed the next installment is in development, making a full circle moment for the series after the failed 2017 reboot. Yeah. Which tried to combine the two. It did try to be horror, but also elements of the Brendan Fraser film, but set in modern times and stuff with Tom Cruise. And look, of the Kurtzman projects, it's easily what he's done since. It's way better than any of that. Of course, found out later it was mostly directed by Tom Cruise. But the ridiculous, we're going to do our Marvel version of the Universal Monsters. And then ultimately said they wanted to be more action adventure than horror. It's like, well, that's not what the characters are. It was weird. Yeah. But of course, if they wanted it to be more action adventure, you already had that with the Brendan Fraser films. So I don't know. But I don't know. Action adventure with Dracula and Frankenstein. Anyway, Fraser headlined the original trailer while Weisz starred in the first two films. Together, the original, she wasn't in the third when they went to China. That one was so bad I don't even remember. Did they recast her or something? Anyway, Fraser, together, the original trilogy grossed over $1.8 billion worldwide and became one of Universal's most successful modern franchises. The 2017 reboot starring Tom Cruise failed to launch a shared dark universe, making this reunion a clear course correction. Well, it took them long enough. Anyway, the film will be directed by the filmmaking duo known as Radio Silence. What are they supposed to be, like a band, but they decided to go into filmmaking instead? Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gilley. From a screenplay, why not just use their name? I don't know. From a screenplay by David Cogshall, shall we Cogs? The family plan, Orphan First Kill. Not familiar. Sean Daniel, who produced the original trilogy and the 2017 reboot, returns as producer. Project X Entertainment's William Sharrock, James Vanderbilt, and Paul Einstein are also producing. Fraser will executive produce alongside Jason F. Brown and Dennis Stewart. Universal executives Jay Polidoro and Jacqueline Garrell are overseeing the production for the studio. In case you were wondering, which Marvel character deserves a Disney Plus series? He got one. She got one. She got one. I haven't watched that one yet, so I don't know. But I got to say, out of this batch, and again, maybe Wonder Man's good for what it is. It's not Wonder Man, But out of this list, Miss Marvel was the best. By a long shot. I know, it's surprising, especially since I'm sure anyone watching this never watched the show. It's really kind of weird. Oh, you're not going to show the results? Oh. Anyway, so what are they going to do? It's all this time later. Well, I'm guessing the kids will all be grown up and that kind of thing, and wild shenanigans will ensue. Will it be Imhotep coming back from hell? I don't know. That's where they left him in the second one, you know. So maybe something like that. And then they get everybody back. It's not saying it in the list, but all we know is Brendan and Rachel so far. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. There is another Mummy movie in the works that is going full horror. It's very weird and rather sad sounding and stuff. So let's check that out too. But as far as your action and adventure, well, that's what the Brendan Fraser Mummy will be. Yeah. So, we'll check it out. See how that goes. And really, that's all you can do. When it comes to judging a movie, you simply have to go and watch it. Then you'll know. I know it's tough because then they got your money. You don't get it back. But, these are the gambles one must take in life. Anyway, Mummy 4 on the way. I don't care about Grogu and the thing. I don't know. I think I'm going to dump those stories. This took longer than I expected it. I didn't even get to play my Bayou Crime Report things. I don't know. Maybe later tonight. I don't know. Anyway, let's see here. Oh, yeah, the sad stuff. Well, let me do this one first before we get to the absolute sad state of affairs for Doctor Who. So, got a new Lord of the Rings thing coming along. No, not Rings of Power, although that's on the way as well. But no, we got this other thing. We'll see how this is going to turn out. New detailed plot synopsis revealed for The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. Spoiler, the orcs get him. Yeah. I don't see the purpose of this other than, can we squeeze some more out of that? Yeah, well, an alleged detailed plot synopsis has been revealed for Andy Serkis's upcoming The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum film. Night Edge Media reports that the film will begin at the end of The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, where Gollum loses the ring to Bilbo Baggins and will end with the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So in case you were wondering, hey, what was he doing in between? Well, you're going to find out. Well, that is where it will begin and end. The bulk of the film will take place between Bilbo's disappearance at his birthday party and the formation of the Fellowship at Rivendell. What? It'll take place? But it's supposed to take place before that. Oh, they start doing flashback. Okay. Additionally, the report claims there will be flashbacks to a young Smeagol. Yeah. All right. Well, but we've already seen. Anyway, before the Fellowship, one creature's obsession holds the key to Middle-earth survival or its demise. It doesn't die. The good guys win, albeit by accident. But anyway, in The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, and we meet young Smeagol, an outsider drawn to trinkets and mischief, long before the One Ring consumed him and began his tragic descent into the tortured, deceitful creature Gollum. With the ring lost and carried away by Bilbo Baggins, Gollum finds himself compelled to leave his cave in search of it. Gandalf the Grey calls upon Aragorn, still known as the Ranger Strider, to track the elusive creature whose knowledge of the whereabouts of the ring could tip the balance toward the Dark Lord Sauron. Yeah, but I thought he became aware of the problem when he visited, Bilbo, and he realized Bilbo had the ring and all that. And so what would be the point of, and then he And then Frodo gets it, and he says, "You don't give it to me, brother, Frodo." Oh. And then, they're off to the races then, So, I don't know. Does this really work? Anyway, set in the shadowed time between Bilbo's birthday disappearance and the Fellowship's formation, this perilous journey through Middle-earth's darkest corners reveals untold truth, tests the resolve of its future king, and explores the fractured soul and backstory of Gollum, one of Tolkien's most enigmatic characters. Well, but the trilogy already did that. There's really nothing else. I don't know. This synopsis indicates that the film won't solely or even primarily be told from Gollum's point of view, which is what producer Philippa Boyens has previously said. Well, it still mostly can, I suppose. For example, Boyens told Empire back in October 2024, it's a specific chunk of incredible untold story, told through the perspective of this incredible creature. While it's a good thing that the film won't be entirely told through Gollum's point of view, it is still concerning that they are claiming the film will reveal untold truths, test the resolve of Aragorn, and explore Gollum's fractured soul. Well, Aragorn, he goes through his journey in the Lord of the Rings story, and he comes to realize that, he has to take the crown. And claiming to reveal untold truths sounds a whole lot like making things up. Yes, that's what they're doing, that are contrary to the source material. More than likely, it makes one think of what the Rings of Power did with Mithril. The show wholly invented an origin for the ore, claiming it was created after lightning struck a tree that contained the light of one of the lost Silmarils, after an elf poured all his light into the tree and a Balrog channeled all his darkness. The result was a new power described as pure and light, as good, as strong, and unyielding as evil. This power then seeps into the mountains and becomes Mithril. Furthermore, the Mithril is viewed as a physical way to prevent the elves from fading in Middle-earth. This is all in stark contrast to Tolkien's lore that depicts Mithril as a simply natural ore mined by the dwarves in the Misty Mountains, an ore that has no magical origin or properties. Its only connection is that the ring, Ninya, was made from Mithril. Hopefully this is not the case, and the untold truths are more about the great perils Aragorn faced tracking down Gollum after Gandalf and the Wood Elves lost Gollum's trail at the western edge of Mirkwood. Oh, well, there you go. There's your story. So anyway, as for the film exploring Gollum's fractured soul, well, this is something Serkis has made clear he wanted to explore, which he already did. He told Deadline, Gollum has always stuck with me throughout all of these years. I've read audiobooks of the trilogy and the similarity, and The Hobbit. So Tolkien's world has never left me in all that time since we did the first films. Yeah. And the character particularly has remained such an enormous part of my life. So it's absolutely thrilling to be able to go back and do a deep dive into his world again, specifically into Gollum's psychology. Yeah, but you risk damaging the good work already done. And his story has been told. Now, I don't think this is going to work. I know we're all interested in investigating on a deeper level who that character is. No, you did. And on top of that, to be able to direct and hopefully create a film which has its place within the canon, I don't know, but also something that's fresh and new and a different approach. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, it's unclear what more this film could explore that was not already explored in Peter Jackson's films and Tolkien's novels. In fact, Tolkien wrote to Michael Straight in a letter, Gollum was pitiable, but he ended in persistent wickedness. And the fact that this worked good, that this worked good, it was no credit to him. Yeah, it's basically a dumb accident. He steals the ring, bites off, Frodo's finger, and then ends up falling into the lava, So his marvelous courage and endurance, as great as Frodo and Sam's are greater, being devoted to evil was portentous, but not honorable. I'm afraid, whatever our beliefs, we have to face the fact that there are persons who yield to temptation, reject their chances of nobility or salvation, and appear to be damnable. Yes, you can't save everybody. And such was the case of Gollum. Frodo felt sorry for him and all that, but wasting your time. Their damnability is not measurable in terms of the macroism, where it may work good. But we who are all in the same boat must not usurp the judge. The domination of the ring was much too strong for the mean soul of Smeagol, but he would have never had to endure it if he had not become a mean sort of thief before it crossed his path. Need it ever have crossed his path? Need anything dangerous ever cross any of our paths? A kind of answer, CD, could be found in trying to imagine Gollum overcoming temptation. The story would have been quite different. By temporizing, not fixing the still not wholly corrupt Smeagol will towards good in the debate in the slag hole, he weakened himself for the final chance when dawning love of Frodo was too easily withered by the jealousy of Sam before Shelob's lair. After that, he was lost. Yeah, he goes back to his foundations. He's, everyone has their chance. He blew it. So, more of that scene where he's talking to himself, about Frodo's a good guy. No, he wants your precious and all that sort of stuff. And he loses again. That was it. Him doing the same thing earlier before he meets Frodo and Sam and all that. What's the point? It's like there's a lot of movies where they'll shoot scenes and it's actually well performed and it's cool, and they end up realizing we're doing the same thing. We already have a scene that does this, and so they cut it out, and it just becomes a deleted scene. It's like it was so well done. I wish we could have, but it spoils the overall film because you're doing the same thing over again. Here you're going to do a whole movie to sandwich in between Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and it's like, yeah, I know. I know he's like that. I already saw his story. I really need to see when he went down to the corner store to get some, Red Bull and Doritos. No, I don't. Anyway, the temptation for Circus is clearly to try and present Gollum as misunderstood, as so many people in Hollywood tried to do with those who engage in sin. And that presentation downplays the grave evil that sin is. Yeah. I mean, it was up to Smeagol and Gollum. He chose this. He chose it. And you see the consequences. To try to reinforce, like, oh, the poor bastard, he was addicted to this stupid ring and it corrupted him and all that. Yeah, but at the outset, he wanted it. To the point of murdering his friend for it. You say, well, that's the power of the ring too, Yeah, but he chose it. In contrast, Tolkien makes clear that Gollum chooses evil and he rejects his chances of nobility or salvation. In fact, in the Fellowship of the Ring, where J.R.R. Tolkien had Gandalf regaling the hunt for Gollum to Frodo, he noted that while the wood elves were tracking Gollum through Mirkwood, the woodmen said there was some new terror abroad, a ghost that drank blood. It climbed trees to find nests. It crept into holes to find the young. It slipped through windows to find cradles. If the hunt for Gollum honors the source material, it could be a good addition to Jackson's film. Otherwise, it risks being just another piece of cultural vandalization, in the vein of the Rings of Power or the War of Oh, yeah, I forgot about the cartoon, yeah. But yeah, see, this is the thing where it's about the hunt, but I don't know that you want to also retell the development of Aragorn. Just, it's like, well, it's more of the same, but you might flesh out some of the other characters, the woodsman and stuff like that. And then, yeah, Gollum is this monster who's running around, drinking blood and stuff, uh, and that sort of thing. Instead of just, oh, poor Gollum, I mean, I know he did bad things, but oh, come on, look at that face. Aw, aw. And we all have our bad days, don't we? And haven't you ever made a mistake? So who are we to judge, Well, I never murdered a friend over a ring. So I got that going for me. Anyway, I don't know. You keep chasing it because Lord of the Rings was so great and the trilogy was so successful and all that stuff. And you want to keep chasing it. But the odds are you're just going to damage it. You need to find something else. What? Oh, they're going to chase it some more. So what you going to do? Well, I'm going to take another little sip of my tea, and then we're going to end this whole shebang, with our final sad, sad story. Poor Doctor who is so badly damaged. So bad. So very bad. There it is. I'll put it like that. It'll look good. And then we'll get to it. BBC production chief signals Russell T Davies' tenure at Doctor Who ends with the Christmas special. Yeah, I mean, of course, the whole thing is over. You think he can finally squeeze out one more Doctor Who project and that's going to win it back and they'll start again? This idiot who brought Doctor Who back from the dead in 2005. And, I had my problems with it here and there, but it had some good episodes in it and went on to great heights, biggest it's ever been. I mean, Doctor Who was on top of the mountain. And you were seeing Doctor Who stuff everywhere. It was never like that, even in the heyday of its glory years with Tom Baker and stuff like that. That was the closest you got to something like this, but it was never on par. But this was a competitor with the likes of, other franchises that were determined to kill themselves as well. But nevertheless, did all that. And then, he moved on. Moffat took over. And the Doctor Who was already in decline due to lack of ideas and whatnot. Moffat had him, but he just sort of teased it here and there. I don't know what happened. Seems like there were some shenanigans afoot here and there as it went on. And then he hires the best damn actor to ever play the role in Peter Capaldi and just didn't have enough ideas that was worthy of his talent, And then after that, and then, the woke virus was in full flame. So they chased gender swap. Then Russell T Davies comes back and tells Chibnall to hold my beer. You think that's going to kill Doctor Who? Let me show you how to kill Doctor Who. And, you see the rest of it. And look, there was a lot of hope that he would come in and revive it because his run was the best. So, he's going to fix this. Now, right off the bat, he said, I'm not changing the Timeless Children. Like, oh, no. So your best hope was, maybe he could produce a series of just basic Doctor Who adventures and it could limp along and be sort of all right. And you just forget about the Timeless Children. Oh, no. He gave you fair warning about what he was all about when he did his little special with Davros and said that this is how Davros is now because this is offensive to people in wheelchairs. And it's what? So and sure enough, after that, good Lord, crazy sermons all over the place. Wasn't even a sci-fi show anymore. It was magic and goblins and gods and all that. I don't know what the hell. And then a doctor who cries all the time and is too busy trying to get laid that his companion nearly gets killed. It was pathetic. It was terrible. Yeah. So I don't know. He just had no reins, I guess. I don't know who was really in charge when he was running it the first time around. Yeah. But nobody could tell him no. And so he just went wild and destroyed whatever chance it might have had. And that was it. And now, I don't know. Just for being a good company man, they're going to give him a Christmas special on the way out. So BBC production chief Zay Bennett recently signaled that Russell T Davies' tenure over Doctor Who will come to an end with the upcoming Christmas special. And nothing shocking there. Speaking to Deadline, Bennett shared an update on the franchise after Disney axed its deal with the broadcaster. Yeah, it cost them money and got them nothing. So that's what you do. You got to make money, stupid. You got to live in the real world. Oh, that's right. I forgot. You don't know how to do that. He said, we're a big, important part of Doctor Who. And all are motivated to make sure Doctor Who has a long and flourishing life. Why? It's only going to cost you money. Doctor Who brought the money in. It did. When it worked, it doesn't work anymore because you don't know how to do it anymore, or you absolutely refuse to do actual Doctor Who. So that's why you're broke, dummy. You can't sell your Doctor Who toy TARDISes and dialects and doctors and all that stuff because nobody wants anything to do with it anymore. They're not excited for it because it's just miserable, and they checked out long before even Jodie Whittaker showed up. I mean, you just, Anyway, we've got the Christmas special coming. After that, it's time for us all to work on it. This is not at all surprising. Davies himself has indicated that his time at Doctor Who was coming to an end. Back in March 2025, during an appearance on David Tennant's podcast, he said there were already conversations regarding who would replace him. He said, so yeah, there's thinking about that. There's conversations about that, but it's hard. It's a tricky one, but they'd better exist. Why? To do what? To put it where? With what money? A month later, and he told News Round that the show will likely go on hiatus. Yeah, probably for another, how long did it last? 15 years or something like that, I think. Yeah, something like that, maybe. Sometimes there might be a pause. And during that pause, the viewers of News Round now will grow up a few years and start writing stories, and they'll bring it back. Wow, that's optimistic, isn't it? In June, following abysmal viewership ratings for his second season, Davies told Doctor Who magazine, we don't know what's happening yet. It's dying. You killed it. And while everyone works that out, it's dead. I'll take a pause on this page. Thanks for reading. And thanks to DWM, Doctor Who magazine. A delight to work with you on this wonderful magazine. Hopefully, we'll have news soon. And certainly, the war between the land and the sea is about to break out. So there are great things ahead. Yeah, that one. Wasn't that great? Did you see it? No, me neither. And even that, he said, look, we're not calling them the Sea Devils anymore, well-established characters of Doctor Who lore. No, that's racist. So now they're Homo Aqua. You see, he can't help himself. What's the story about? Oh, the same thing that it originally was. They want the Earth back. And UNIT says, no. So they fight. The end. But it's a Doctor Who show with no Doctor Who. So, but I guess it's just as well, Anyway, as for why Davies is seemingly done, as well as why the Disney deal fell apart, one executive told Deadline that it was too woke for Trump's USA. It's too woke for everybody. It's too woke for any show. The list of woke propaganda on the show is extraordinarily long. Here's just some things. Ncuti Gatwa is the first black and gay doctor. He was not the first black doctor. He's not. I know they sold it like that, but I see they can't even keep their own bullshit canon straight that they forced in on it, you know. So what was the point? Oh, you wanted to preach and you forgot about what you did. Anyway, promotion of gender ideology with characters like Jason Noble. Oh, yeah, the what was Rose? Yeah. Storylines about gender identity pronouns and transgenderism. Yeah, that's another thing. They had, you know, Jason, Rose, whatever, criticizing the doctor about pronouns, and they were telling him, you're a male presenting Time Lord. You don't understand. He was a woman 5 minutes ago. I mean, a real woman with uterus and ovaries and everything. You don't know what you're talking about. You're stupid. But, you know, they just want to preach. Forget about what the story is. What are you tuning into a show to watch a story? No. Race swapping historical figures like Isaac Newton. Yeah, it's just stupid. Yeah. I mean, you can regenerate the doctor into a black guy. Yeah, sure. But you can't regenerate Isaac Newton. And you know, attacks on Christianity. Well, of course. The BBC and Doctor Who are good to be done with Russell T Davies. Well, you see, they're all one and the same. The BBC is perfectly fine with this. I mean, I don't know that he even could have, if he could have just done basic Doctor Who, would have been better off. You know, it's just, oh no, the monster, I got to stop him. And all that. And kept it and kept true to its own context and whatnot. He couldn't even do that. He couldn't let it breathe. Any of that. I don't think the BBC would have been on board. So as bad as Russell T Davies is and all his, you know, bigoted preachings that he does, that's what they're about. So, But eventually they start noticing you can't keep the lights on and stuff. And what happened? Could even they figure that out? But again, it's brand damage. Do a good Doctor Who show. Would they come back? Would anyone know? Would anyone see it? That's where you are. It's like that Daredevil thing they did when they brought him back for Disney. And, you know, it was a bad show. They tried to fix it. It was probably worse than what you got. And so they tried to, you know, repair it, but it was, you know, too late and all that. But no one knew exactly how bad it was. You didn't really know. But the Netflix Daredevil show was the best, you know, television iteration or attempt for the MCU, and it was hailed as being really great and beloved. And so the idea of bringing that back should have had a great turnout, at least for the first episode. Nobody showed up. That's because the MCU brand is so badly damaged to where now they're doing the Hail Mary pass with Avengers Doomsday and bringing everybody back and all that sort of stuff. And maybe that'll work for the gimmick. Will it solve the problem overall? I doubt it. But nevertheless, that's what they got left. You know, Doctor Who doesn't have that. I mean, what are you going to do? You already tried bringing David Tennant back. Whoops. That didn't do all that great. So let's say, you got this new Doctor Who. And it's really good. But nobody showed up. That's where you are. So anyway, says BBC and Doctor are going to be done with Russell T Davies. Well, overall, but BBC's, they're not holding him responsible. They say, well, it's just terrible how the world is and Trump's America and all that. However, given the fact that they hired him in the first place, it begs the question if they actually learned any lessons regarding his disastrous tenure or if they will double down again. Well, yeah, they're giving the last show to him. So, yeah. Right now, you have to go with no. They didn't learn anything until they show something that, I guess they finally figured it out, huh? But again, nobody's going to show up. What do you want from me? I just want you to go away. The damage is done. And it's sad. I miss Doctor Who. I do. I wish there was more of it. I really, man, that Peter Capaldi was, man. It's almost worse in the sense that they gave him crappy scripts. Every now and then you got a good one. There was one that's just amazing. The Heaven Sent, Hell Bent episodes. And then it kind of encapsulates New Who, where there was a lot of teases of greatness. And then the follow-up poops the bed. That kind of really gets, and yet he got this amazing performance from Peter Capaldi. Probably the best damn Doctor since Tom Baker. And it's kind of painful to watch his talent get abused. Yeah. Then again, I don't know what all the behind the scenes shenanigans were and what they wanted to do. And there were a lot of things Moffat wanted to do and circumstances didn't play out that way. He wanted Tennant to stay on for one more season. Tennant said, no, man, I'm done. Said, okay. So he brings in Matt Smith. Matt Smith, I wasn't sure about, but he proved me wrong. He did the necessary research and did a really a good job of playing a very young man with a very old man soul, which Jodie Whittaker could have learned from that. But, I'm not watching the old Doctor. Okay. But anyway, that sort of thing. And he wanted Matt Smith to stay on at least for another season because he was going to put his Doctor through the ringer. And I think that would have been a preparation for him more back to a darker Doctor after what happened to him, to explain kind of Peter Capaldi's Doctor. He still tried to do that, but you didn't have the build up for it. I mean, you had Matt Smith's Doctor stuck for, I don't know, centuries on that planet because he was really old when Clara finds him and all that sort of. So I guess that was supposed to be the setup and how terrible that war was on, what was it, Planet Christmas or something. It's like no. And that was a terrible send off for poor Matt Smith, but and so things like that you can't control wanted Christopher Eccleston for the 50th special, and he just wouldn't do it. So you had to do the War Doctor, which was interesting, but it really messes up the lineup of the Doctors and stuff. And that was the beginning of that kind of trouble. Then, Timeless Child. Now, good Lord, that's way beyond that. But, there were solutions there. I still don't understand why they didn't just put Paul McGann in there so they could have their 3 Doctors. I don't know. It was still a fun show, though. But anyway, I don't know. There's just so many unforced errors that you can't just put it up to, circumstances and stuff like that. So, again, all so very sad. So the RIP Doctor Who hashtag, it's true. I wish it weren't, but it is. All right. So now, looky here. I've got a super tip. Sorry, I just now noticed it, but I was, reading about Doctor Who. So this means I've got to shift over to the super tip later. There we are. See, whoa, it shook me. All right. Let's hope this plays through. All right. So it's just okay. I know what this is. Huh? Is it a talking one? Because I don't hear it. Let me check the. I think it's just a text one. Yeah. So, but wait, that's the. No. I'm sorry. Okay. I think this is my OBS thing that I gotta, because I'm in EV Mux, so I don't need the OBS one. So that, there we go. That makes it so much better. But now my blind eyes. Okay. From Drive By with $10. Thank you very much, Drive By. It's so nice to see a super tip. So, your content is always a nice change from the dabble trash. Thanks, Doug. Well, I appreciate that. That doesn't mean I won't do some dabble stuff, but everybody else has done it. Who wants to hear my commentary and opinions on this or that? When everybody else who does do it regularly, they do it pretty good, so there is that sort of thing to consider. And so, I do what I can. And of course, for Super Tip, it needs, I think, to go beyond. And now, it's public and everything, and people can sign up for it to be in a variety of other shows, not just Dabbleverse stuff. And they can go in there, set up what voices they want, set up parameters they want, and all that stuff, and make it a good, entertaining function for their show. And on top of that, you get tips from your audience that shows their appreciation. But also with voice tips and whatnot, and the image tip thing if people want to do that and stuff like that. It's an interactive thing, so it's beyond just what super chats can do. But nevertheless, a great thing that Patrick Melton developed with his good friend Moody and all that. And so Super Tip is a great thing, and it's outside of the purview of the likes of YouTube and stuff. So even if you get demonetized, but you've built up a loyal following or audience that really enjoys your work, then, look, they can still show their great appreciation, and you can make an income off of your labor here on YouTube, Rumble, wherever the hell you are. It's great. It's great stuff. So there you go. Super tip. Drive By 480 says, you're welcome. Yes. Well, thank you very much, Drive By. Greatly appreciated. And I'm going to leave it there because it's cool to see. One more thing I think I should do. It's only appropriate. Boy, I had all these. I always think I'm going to do these wonders. I'm going to draw pictures and all that. And I put too many stories in there. I ended up taking some off. There was the Grogu and Mandalorian thing. We talked about that on PCP, the stupid Clydesdale ad. And it's already talked through it. What are you doing? You're leaning in on the silly, hoping that'll really sell it and be cute, kind of like James Gunn doing with crypto. But poor Star Wars, you're in no position to be screwing around. You need to sell your adventure movie. Tease them with adventure. Instead, you thought, hey, we're silly. For a Super Bowl ad, the expense, the money. You could have just put that on your YouTube channel. You'd have been fine. I don't know. They're nuts. But anyway, I got to do my own ad for, I could be doing that even here in OBS. Yes, I can. I keep forgetting. That's right. There it is. But I kind of need to place it over here, maybe. There you go. I guess that'll work. Whoops. There we are. That's right. Nailsin Comics. Currently putting. I just keep adding stuff to the Doodleverse comics. That number 2 I got coming, and I need to hurry up and send it out because they take forever to put it in their store. So I probably screwed up again for how long that's going to take. That's going to be embarrassing, and I'm going to feel awful about it. But then it'll come out, and then I'll feel like, okay, cool. Wait, I got to go back to the other layer. So there goes the super tip. Well, we saw it, huh? It's cool. It's all cool. And thanks again, Drive By. It's really cool. I always want to see that little thing show up in the super tip tab. And, huh? There it is. It's like Christmas, you know? Anyway, the other way to support me, of course, there's my PayPal account. You want to do that. The Rumble Rants. I'm not monetized on YouTube yet. I'm getting there, but, you know, and then they'll decide, well, I don't know. I don't know that we want to associate with you. So that could still happen. I started putting shorts on there, not my shorts. You don't want to see that, but little clips of me drawing and stuff. So those are there. So there's that. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. But anyway, the other thing is, oh boy, Nailsin Comics. Yes, that's right. All you got to do is head over to indieplanet.com. Yes, it's true. And look, they have a whole page called Douglas Nailsin. By a staggering coincidence, that's my name too. So indieplanet.com/Douglas, Douglas, starting doing Bauer, Douglas-Nailsin. And that brings you to Douglas Nailsin. No, not me, the page. And then there's my comic books. Oh boy, there's the first Doodleverse, soon to be followed by number 2. Then you get this thing I did for a friend, but it's there. It's, you know, it's a super lady fight, etc. woman fights this rat man. And then there's Night Night. Oh boy, the creme de la creme of all things Nailsin Comics. And there's 3 issues of that. Soon to have a number 4. Yes. And then there's Sun King. And with a backup from Bubba Stargone. And soon to have her number 2. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Artwork's already done on that. Working on the Bubba Stargone backup for issue number 2. Getting that in there. And then it's full steam ahead on Night Night, The Death of Night Night Part 2. The title is grossly misleading. Oh, yeah, and I got to do another backup thing, for the early years of Night Night. Hey, how did he get started in this thing? And he had a different suit back then, too. Oh, and so, well, you'll find out when you read that. Now, they're all based on the audio plays of the same name from the Nailsin ratings over at radiomisfits.com or wherever you get your podcast. So Night Night is based on the Night Night Show. Sun King based on the Sun King Show. Bubba Stargone based on the Bubba Stargone Show. Well, it's called Bubba Stargone and the Uranus Patrol. Get it? And now they're slowly but surely appearing in comic book form based on those very same stories. That's right. But you can check them out in glorious color over here at, indieplanet.com/Douglas-Nailsin. So you go over there and, oh boy, look at that. You can get the digital for $99. You can get the print edition for $3.75. And so there's Night Night talking to, no, not Pat Dixon. It just looks like Pat Dixon, but the commissioner, Charles Wetwin. And that's a joke and play on the Shadow, which was a precursor to Batman, And since this is a Batman parody, I know you're shocked and surprised at that, but it's true. That's what Night Night is. I decided to utilize the name of the Shadow's commissioner, whose name was Charles Weston. See? So I called him Charles Wetwin. So anyway, now this one, a little more pricey at $3.99, but still the digital, $1.99. Oh, look at the distortion on the buildings there. I don't even remember doing that. That's weird. Well, anyway, he fights Bullfrog in that one. See? There's Bullfrog and his gang of tadpoles. And there's Night Night with his mask off. The guy who runs his nightclub, Club Night. I know. What are the odds of the title? And Stupid Boobo. Tadpoles, they're stupid. So there they are, watching the news about Bullfrog. Well, they're going to get to action and take care of that. What happens? Well, you'll have to get your copy and find out. So there you go. Night Night Comics, Bubba Stargone, Sun King, Doodleverse Comics, etc. Woman, whatever you want, it's there. So don't delay. Order your copy of Nailsin Comics today. All right. right. I think that that'll do it for this edition of you know, the Nailsin ratings live. Now, I either got to do these again or cut them out of this live stream. I'm so tired. I'm going to cut them out of the live stream. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be some other stuff for me to do. Damn, I didn't get to use my Bayou Crime Report thing. Well, it'll be featured in the audio of it anyway. Oh, wait, I still got Thursday night. Maybe I can do a live stream and put it in that. Oh, you know, that might be something. It might be. You know, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. And again, thanks for the super tip. That was awesome. And we'll do it again. We will do it again. I don't know about Nailsin ratings, but I'll do something. And oh, that'll be fun. Sure. And yeah, that'll be something to do. Just like I did tonight. Yeah, me sitting here reading stuff to you, the people. All right, we'll do it again soon. Have a good rest of your night, morning, day, all that goody gumdrop stuff.
Vulture.